Greetings, family. The Trap Witch here. I'm going to do a reading for you guys for this full moon in Pisces coming up, I believe, tomorrow. The energy is already heavy in the air. Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer, the water signs. For me, at least, they tend to make me feel a bit emotional. It really causes you to evaluate your emotions, I feel like, and see where they're imbalanced and what's really causing them. A lot of people are about to go through major transitions, life-altering transitions. People have had enough with what is currently going on within themselves and with people around them. And you know that the only person's actions, emotions, and feelings that you can control are your own. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to be doing a reading for you guys to give you some insight and advice on how to prepare yourself and how to work through the energy of this moon. I believe it's a harvest moon or something like that. Pretty much you're about to come into really like reaping what it is that you have been working for, you know, over the past few seasons, especially since the solar eclipse. A lot of you guys put intentions into the air, and things have been weird since the eclipse, haven't they? Like, I think a lot of people were waiting for a giant explosion to happen right after the eclipse, and we're like, yo, shit's a little quiet. What's going on? What's in the air? You know, we're almost there. We're almost there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be pulling some cards. For those of you who are new to my videos, I'm an intuitive reader. I call in spirit to use myself as an oracle to give a message of guidance, of spiritual counsel. Tarot cards for me are the way that I divinate. Divination is just bringing forth a spiritual message, and for me the cards are just a roadmap for me to tell you what I feel spirit is trying to communicate to us at this time. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to get started. I'm gonna be reading from the Witchery Way deck. She's a fellow Instagram witch that sent me her deck, and I really love it. I've been using it more as an oracle deck in my readings, but now I'm going to use it as the pull, and then I'm going to be using the Doreen Virtue Angel cards as the oracle card to pull everything together. I usually love reading from the New Orleans Voodoo deck, but today I was inspired to kind of just switch things up because we're moving in a new direction. I just feel like I want to bring in some new energy. Okay? So these are the cards, you know, this kind of plain artwork on the side or whatever, but you know, okay? So make sure that one's okay. So focus your energy. I'm gonna focus mine. We're gonna get started. Spirit, we call you in on behalf of the collective at this time. We ask for the highest good of all those involved with harm to none. We ask for clarity. We ask for clear perception. We ask that Elewa open the roads to precise messages. We ask now, moving into the full moon in Pisces, what is it that we need to know most at this time that can help us and guide us into this transition and this next phase of the journey? May only benevolence, I always say this word wrong, may only benevolence speak through me. May only benevolence speak through these cards. May the assistance of my Egum help me in helping others. And I ask, what is it that the collective needs to know most at this time for the full moon in Pisces, for the highest good of all those involved? What is it that we might not be picking up on subconsciously, or it's laying below the surface that needs to be brought to our attention at this time, moving into the Pisces full moon in this first part of September? Okay, let's go ahead and pull, split the deck. Love it already. All of them are reversed. All of them. All of them are reversed, okay? Okay, so the first card we have is the Mountain, and it's reversed. The number at the top I want to bring attention to is 21. See? 2 and 1 for me is 3. 3 is the number of the crossroads, being at a fork in the road on your journey where you have to make a decision, okay? The Mountain says overcoming obstacles and blockages. And in the corner of this card, there's a little 8 card, okay? 8 for me is the number of infinity, transformation, and renewal. Right now, many of us are having difficulties overcoming this mountain. This is why for me it's reversed. We're having difficulties overcoming the mountain. We're having difficulties really allowing this transformation to occur. It's because these blockages are something we've been holding on to for a long time. They're the things that we are familiar with, and the unfamiliar and the unknown can be terrifying. But one thing I will tell you, how can you be scared of something you have never experienced? So many of us allow ourselves to be the mountain that stands in our own way simply because we're so afraid, because we have so much learned helplessness that possibly taking a chance on something new can result in failure. This is because we don't often have enough faith in ourselves. We have to trust that in order to open a door to a new opportunity, it's going to require a new way. It's going to require a new way of thinking. So right now, the biggest blockage you have to overcome is yourself. This transformation wants to occur. This renewal wants to occur. And you are at the fork in the road. And right now, are you going to take the road that you're familiar with, that you already, up until this time, you're just like, I've been traveling along this road and I keep bumping into people and situations and things that are constantly just making me not progress, not move forward. Every time I think that this road is going somewhere, it's really not. Maybe I should take a different path. Maybe my intuition is telling me that the reason why I'm getting blocked is I'm too afraid to do something that's a little off the beaten path. It might not even be on the path, right? Sometimes when you're using GPS, and I say this all the time, sometimes, you know, when you're using GPS and motherfucker gets you lost and you're like, God, all she's doing or he's doing is just driving me around in circles. And something keeps telling you, you know what, make that right. Make that right there. And every time your GPS says go left, you're like, nah, I need to make that right. Go back to that fork. And oftentimes, when you listen to your intuition to do something that goes against what is being necessarily said, and you make that right, you land exactly where you need to be. You overcome that blockage. You overcome the blockage of reaching your next destination, yeah? So, right now, we have to take a new path. And it's still gonna end you up where you need to go, because you're always where you're supposed to be at a given time. Divine order, you know, divine order is always a blessing in disguise. You can always find the blessing in the moment of even being lost, because you're always where you're supposed to be. But at what point do you come to your senses that you're like, you know what? I'm where I'm supposed to be because I'm not listening to myself. I'm driving myself crazy. And insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So are you going to drive yourself crazy, or are you going to try something new? Okay? Are you going to keep your sanity? The next card I got is the Book, and it's reversed. The Book talks about secrets, knowledge, and learning. The number at the top is 26. 26, 2 and 6 to me is still an 8. 8 again wants you to learn something new, because there's a card in the bottom of the of this card that's a 10. 10 is 1. 1 plus 0 is 1, yeah? And right now we're in a 10 year. 2017 adds up to 10. A lot of us are coming into new beginnings, right? But the book is reversed. Some of these obstacles and these blockages that we are occurring are because we are not tapping into the knowledge of self. We are not, oh, I'm getting stiff. Hold on, I gotta move. Oh, shit. Not as young as I used to be. We are not tapping into knowledge of self. We are not learning ourselves. And at some point, you gotta realize that, God, I've been with myself this long and I still don't know myself. Maybe you need to try something new. Maybe it's that you need to stop looking without and look within. Maybe you have to stop looking for all the answers outside of you. Maybe the secret all along was in here. But nobody filled you in on that. Why? Because most people always tell you in society that the answers are outside of yourself. You're bombarded every day with advertisements and marketing to tell you that you are not enough, that you need more to add on to you, when you already got everything that you fucking need to survive. Now, I will tell you this, okay? And listen to me, I'll tell you this. I'm a little vain sometimes. I like shit, like, you know, I like hair, I like jewelry, I like dressing. But all of this is not me. Or this does not define me. This does not define my journey. This defines my journey. So you need to tell yourself, stop looking for the answers outside of yourself. Oh, when I get a bigger house. Oh, when I get a bigger car. Oh, when I find the mate. Nah. All of our life, we search for the security in building the life that we desire, but we often look for the things outside of ourselves that are going to make us happy, right? A lot of that has to surround building a home, right? So many people bust their ass every day for a job to build a home or build a house or build a home, right? With people that they fucking can't stand, with with kids that don't listen to them, to what we think is the dream, but it's a fucking nightmare, because we still don't know ourselves. We still have no knowledge of self. We are never told that this is our home. Our vessel, this is our vessel for the time period that we're here in the human experience, but nowhere will ever feel like home until you feel like home within yourself. And does that make sense? So this transformation and this new beginning is going to come with you learning yourself. Knowledge of self, know thyself, that the secret is within. You write your own journey. There is no book on spirituality that no matter how many times you read it, if you don't make it applicable, it doesn't matter. And a lot of people search for the answers in there and then they still go, I don't know. Even with religion, people read the Bible, but there's so much contradictory shit in there at times. People are not ambitious enough to break down what is really applicable to them. There's some shit in there that's legit. You know, there's some legit shit in there, but not all of it. And you have to have the intuition and the discernment to see what is applicable to you. You know, I ain't knocking it all. There's some good shit in there. The next card is the bottle. 2, 3. It's reversed. Okay, so 2 and 3, I'm going to go into my Santeria stuff. 2 and 3 to me is the number 5. And 5 for me is Oshun, which Oshun for me she's taken over the end of this year. It is her year that we are in. We've been deemed by my house, we're in her year. But she and Yamaya are taking over the end of this year. And there's a 7 in the corner of this card, and 7 is the number of Yamaya. So right now, I feel like with this transition we're going into, and I keep saying this, I've been saying this for like 2-3 months now, the last quarter of the year belongs to Yamaya and Oshun, who are bringing to fruition some beautiful karma for people if they relieve themselves of these hindering behaviors and this karmic debt that's holding them back. Because 5 in actuality has a lot to do with prosperity. I've been seeing 555 a lot, and 555 means let go of the old and embrace the new and go with the flow, which I love because Oshun is the river, and you can't flow. In order to flow, you have to go with the current. You can't go against it. When you go against it, you create resistance and you're bound to drown yourself, yeah? Yeah. And 7 being Yamaya for me, but 7 is also a karmic number, okay? If you've been seeing 777 a lot of that has to do with your good karma that's about to come back to you, okay? So if you've been seeing 7s, I see 77 a lot, 777, know that you are on the brink of something good. Just keep pushing and doing what you're supposed to do. This card says the bottle, spiritual occult learnings. So for this, I tell you that as above, so below. If you don't take anything away from the occult except for that saying, as above, so below, meaning that everything that you do within the spiritual realm manifests into the physical realm. You put out back what you want to get in return. So if you want to bring forward prosperity and fruition, then you have to already believe that you are prosperous and that you are fruitful. If you do not believe that you are that and you are worthy of that, you will never attract that, ever. If you have a poor mentality, you're going to continue to be broke. If you have a poor work ethic, then expect that nothing you're doing is going to pay off. You're never going to see the fruits of your labor if you can't even work for what you want. God helps those who help themselves. A lot of people are sitting here praying like, oh my God, why won't my blessings come to me? All I do is pray. But do you move yourself? And move yourself, but then also know at some point when to be still. Sometimes people work themselves ragged. Sometimes people work harder than need be when they just need to work smart. And sometimes the biggest thing that you can do, the smartest thing you can do, is surrender. Surrender to spirit. People say, what is surrendering to spirit? Having faith that if you've done all the work, that if you continue just to live good and have good character, that good karma and that prosperity is coming back to you. And it often comes back to you when you don't expect it. The blessing always comes when you least expect it. Oftentimes, if we have to wait a long time and we're doing good, it's because spirit wants to make sure that you are patient enough, responsible enough, and grateful enough to receive that blessing. I made a post the other day about the waiting room. How oftentimes the biggest lesson before the blessing is the waiting room. And how when you go to a waiting room, you can tell a lot about a person depending on how patient they are and their attitude in waiting to be seen, right? So many of you are now in the waiting room, and good karma's right around the corner. The blessings are right around the corner. So will you continue to be patient? Will you? It's saying make sure you do, because it's reversed. A lot of you are not. So keep that in mind. All these cards are reversed. So these are all things that a lot of people are not doing that you need to do. The tree. 4th card. Health, roots, and peace. Again, 5 and 7. I can't make this shit up. The number at the top is 5. The bottom is 7. This is Oshun and Yemaya. I'm telling y'all. Watch. Watch. Health, roots, and peace. Again, I have to reiterate. If the roots of a tree are compromised, there will be no fruits. And your root chakra is in charge of a lot of things in your life. It rules food and sex and a lot of these things. And when you have an overactive root chakra, you indulge in a lot of instant gratification. Because a lot of times, also too, A lot of people that are insecure have a poor root chakra. If your lack of security is being threatened, if you are in the midst of instant gratification right now because you're operating out of fear and anxiety, it's time to ground yourself, okay? Because if you will compromise the sake of your growth for instant gratification, you will never have peace, because that's what this card says: health, roots, and peace. A lot of people will compromise their health because of wealth. A lot of people will compromise their peace for what they think is prosperity. And I'm saying this, what they think is prosperity. People compromise health for wealth all the time. How many people work themselves ragged in a dead-end ass job to make money? How many people will compromise their soul and their integrity and their honor and be deceitful for the sake of money, right? It's because their roots are compromised. There's poison in the roots, and they will never grow. Even if what appears as the illusion of growth, eventually that karma is going to catch up to them. And it's not your job to look for the karma either. I used to be a person who was like, man, that person has such fucked up character and they're bad and this and that and they treated me like shit. And you know what? I'm like, you know what? Karma's gonna, and I look for it and I look for it. But that's you operating out of your lower self, because your sense of security is threatened. And for you to feel gratified, you want to look for their suffering. We can't do that either. We got to keep it pushing and we got to keep it moving, okay? So also too, don't compromise your peace for prosperity. When I say that, do not compromise your peace by moving yourself and putting yourself in situations where you know is going to cause a disturbance. Do not disturb your peace, okay? A lot of things that we get caught up in instant gratification, it disturbs our peace. Like, a lot of times, I've been offered jobs, right? Or even when I was in the adult industry, when you're down and out and sometimes you're desperate for money, you start questioning your morals and your integrity, and you're like, am I going to do something strange for some change? The only strange for some change you should be doing is what that first card says, is taking a new road that your intuition tells you is going to be good for your higher self. The only obstacles that we need overcome right now are the ones that are blocking us from our higher self. And when we move ourselves to move out of instant gratification to get to a short-term instant gratification of what we think is prosperity, we are giving into our lower self. That is our lower self and our root chakra that's operating out of a bad place, saying, you know what, I'm fearful and anxious and I'm desperate and I'm going to do whatever I have to do. You're going to fuck yourself up. Watch. I'm telling you now. Stop it. You want to grow? You want to prosper for real? You want to have wealth? You want to have good health? You want to grow upright, closer to your higher self? Never compromise. Never compromise your good integrity, your honor, or anything that is poisonous and toxic. Don't allow it to reside on your soil. If you are not growing right now where you are at, and you know you're doing your best and you're doing good and moving in unconditional love in the best interest for your higher self, it's time to do the strange for some change and maybe uproot yourself and put yourself in a situation where your health is not going to be compromised, okay? The last card is the ring. 2, 5, again 7. There's a lot of good karma on the way to people. Don't be moved by lower vibrational forces right now. Turn the other cheek. Send people away with love. Just love is the answer right now. It's not going to be revenge. It's not going to be instant gratification. It's not going to be greed. It's not going to be any of those things. Stay with your higher self. Okay? So the ring, strong bonds and obligations. Right now, it's time to commit yourself to your higher self. It's time to marry the part of yourself that you know that in the long term is going to bring you happiness, wealth, and prosperity. It's that person within you that you're like, I want to be with them for the rest of my life. Yeah? I want to be with them for the rest of my life. I want to be committed to that version of myself. And we will always grow and evolve, but you always want to stay committed to the growth and the version of you that is wanting to evolve. And it's the same thing with a relationship. You want to be obligated to people, places, things, and situations that are only about building strong bonds, evolution, and uphold their obligations. You don't want to be committed to anybody who doesn't uphold their obligations, that is not an equal energetic exchange, that is draining you and causing you to possibly move out of your character. If at any point someone causes you, or a situation causes you to move out of your character, or is threatening to do so, like, you just know that you got to remove yourself from it, because it's not worth holding on to karmic debt and racking it up. Karmic debt right now is a big theme. That was for this morning's reading, letting go of karmic debt by sending things away with love, whether it's your ego, your lower self, or people that are lower vibrational, sending them away with love and saying, you know what, I've paid you off, I don't owe you shit, I'm moving forward, okay? So, with that being said, I'm going to pull the angel card to tie the reading together. Okay, so one flew out on the floor, so that's our card. You are safe. Look at that. Look at that. It's so beautiful. Archangel Michael, I am protecting you against lower energies and guarding you, your loved ones, and home. It's a sign. It's a sign. Archangel Michael was the leader in God's army in battle. He is someone that you call in to cut energetic cords to lower energies that you no longer wish to be a part of. So what I'm going to do for you is give you an example of a prayer to cut cords. You can easily Google Archangel Michael cord cutting prayer, and that will help you a lot. But in this time frame, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you an example, okay? Okay. So you're going to go into a space of grounding, and you're going to picture a cord, right, between you and any energy that you want to cut off. This can be the energy between you and your lower self, so the version of your higher self and your lower self. Or even if you want to do, I don't think I have it in here. Even if you want to actually get a piece of string and do a ritual, this is going to be a great full moon ritual. Get a piece of string, right? And you're going to say to your, let's say your right hand, okay? Your right hand is going to be your higher self. Your left hand is going to be your lower self. And you are going to take that string, right? And you are going to say, Archangel Michael, I am now asking you to release any energetic cords that are holding me back due to lower vibrational energies. I cut away the lower energy of myself and other external lower vibrational energies that are causing me to be held back in my journey forward. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take some scissors and you're going to cut it in the middle. You're going to cut away those lower energies from the higher frequency energies that you need to move forward, okay? So, also, like I said, there are many prayers online with Archangel Michael that talks about cutting energetic cords, but right now is the time, and I literally made a post about this morning. It's that time to cut it, you know, or like that K Camp song, ain't nothing cut that bitch off. And I don't indulge too much in a lot of, oh, I cut them off, or my fallback game strong. I don't indulge in a lot of that, because sometimes people are simply unwilling to do the work to move through circumstances with people that are good for them, or or, you know, just do the work. A lot of people are lazy. A lot of people don't want to evolve. So I will say this, the people that are willing to work with you and willing to support you authentically as your higher self, or your best version of yourself, that's completely in unconditional love, that's not doing harm to you or another person, if someone's willing to work with that, then they're worth holding on to. But we're talking about the people that no matter how much love you put into them, there's just no way that it's going anywhere. Cut them off. Okay? Cut them off. This morning I made a video that said, if you feel like you constantly have to defend yourself in the midst of people you call friends or family, then they're not good for you. Because at some point, you have to stop and ask yourself, do I really have to say, hey, no offense, but if you constantly feel like you're walking on eggshells and you have to say no offense, then you have to ask yourself, are you in the midst of people that are supposed to be on your side, but are actually the enemy within your own camp? They can't help you fight no war, because you're fighting a war with your own people. A lot of you are fighting war within yourself, because so many of you are also afraid of offending yourself because you're so scary. So many people are so scary. Like, I was very insecure at many points of my journey, even up until recently, where I wouldn't take a chance on myself. I'm afraid to offend myself. Like, I'm afraid to be embarrassed, like embarrass myself at times. You know what I mean? But if you know you're moving in love, you know you're moving in light, then you gotta just, anybody that doesn't accept that light and that love, you gotta cut it off. And sometimes your ego gets in the way of your love and your light, you know? There's times when I want to fuck people up. Trust and believe me, the day I fuck someone up, it was well deserved. But don't let people move you out of your character, man. Don't let people move you out of your good character. Iwa Pele. In Santeria, Yoruba, we talk about Iwa Pele. That's always the goal. Living with good character. And that's what consciousness teaches you about. Unconditional love for yourself, mainly first and foremost, and others, and evolving back to ascension, back to spirit, back to being one with the divine. And being one with the divine, you can't have that fugazi ass fuck shit in there, yeah? I love you all very much. I do. This was a great reading, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and burn a little bit more Palo Santo to clear us out. Palo Santo, sage, Florida water, spiritual baths, all that stuff is great. This is just physical things you can do for clearing. But the most important clearing that you're going to be doing is in here. Don't hold anything heavy on your heart. If you got to be around people that weigh heavy on your heart, if you are holding on to shit from your past that's causing you PTSD because it's heavy on your heart, even about yourself, that maybe you failed in the past, but now you're afraid to feel, like, let that shit go. Lift off the burdens off of yourself to move forward. Life is not really short. I mean, it can be, whatever. This experience, time is not real. But the human experience, once we start living with spirit and becoming free, it's so beautiful. But in order to be free, you have to be light. And you can't be light and airy and free and one with spirit if you're heavy and burdened down, yeah? Okay, I'm done now. So let's burn this Palo Santo. So y'all work on clearing this energy from within this week, okay? With this full moon in Pisces, because, man, them water signs be having people in their feelings. So know to use your feelings, your emotions, energy and motion. Use that energy productively to move you forward and not backwards, okay? Peace, love, and light, y'all. Trap Witch out.